All right, what is going on, my dudes? We're back here today with the next champion entering MCOC, and also it is 12:20 p.m., 40 minutes before this video gets uploaded, so let's speed run this MFer. All right, so we got Sandman here, the newest champion added to the science class, which is just one of the most stacked classes in the game. He's got some holes in his shirt right over here by his tricep. My man's gotta get a better fit. But Sandman, this dude is so fun. He's so cool. So we're gonna jump over how he works today. His animations are just bonkers, dude. So Sandman has a lot of competition in his class, in the science class. One of the best classes in the entire game. Up there with Cosmic, up there with Mutant, right? Really, really solid classes. Sandman brings some really interesting things to the table, though, at the same time. So he's got a bunch of stuff going on in his kit, but at the end of the day, he actually is rather simple. So let's kind of jump into it today, and we'll break it all down. So Sandman is immune to bleed, poison, and shock. Triple immunity, 3 very relevant immunities. Hazard Shift in Section 2 of Alliance War has that bleed and shock, so he's going to be completely immune to that as well. Also, the first node has one eye open, where you really don't want to hit them while they're stunned. Sandman's playstyle, you really don't need to stun them, so I do think he's actually going to be pretty darn good for that node, specifically Dr. Doom on node 35, who is found there quite often. So that's one matchup I have my eye on, is Sandman versus Dr. Doom on node 35 in Alliance War. Okay, so his debuffs can be inflicted through block, they're paused during special attacks, and kind of like Howard the Duck's debuffs, they expire one at a time. Knocking down the opponent with a heavy attack grants a heavy proficiency passive. This is a new ability that increases his attack rating during his heavy attacks by up to 3,650 at max stacks, maxing out at 10. So he gains resistance up passives. These are the passives that Spider-Man 2099 has that he gets from his special one that essentially just increases his physical and energy resistance by 115 each one that he has. Now he gains these when he does his light attack and his medium attack, and also when he does his special attacks as well. Now when you're fighting him, you remove these by doing critical hits and also by doing a bleed, poison, or shock from a skill champion. Okay, so champions like Zemo is going to be really good for him. You know, the skill champions who crit with guaranteed crits like Hitmonkey and Mole Man's going to be great for him, right? Even though he can't bleed, he's just not going to be able to do anything defensively against you, and also he's going to ramp up your champions like Mole Man so fast. He's gonna put those debuffs on you. You're gonna shrug him off, go into frenzy. So yeah, very solid RPG elements and interactions there between the skill class and the science class with him, which is nice. So at 20, he goes unstable, which is a really cool name, by the way. The sand becomes unstable. Okay, this lasts for 20 seconds. However, it's never really going to last for 20 seconds unless you have absolutely no clue how to play him. All right, and while it's active, you don't gain any more resistance up, and you lose one when he's struck or when he's blocked. Okay, and when all those, and when he attacks as well, and all of those unstables go away, or all the resistance up goes away if it expires. But again, it's not going to expire. It will on defense, but also, again, if you know how to fight him, he won't go unstable. So, while unstable, he gains an unstoppable passive, and he inflicts 10 suppression debuffs with 5% potency each when it happens. So 50% suppression, which is pretty darn solid. That can be combined with Mr. Fantastic suppression for even more combat power reduction, and you do a lot of heavy attacks with this guy and special attacks with this guy. So it's pretty darn reasonable to keep that up. So yeah, his light attacks and his medium attacks consume one resistance up, okay, on block or on the whiff. So if you miss, you still consume it, all right? And it does a burst of physical damage if you hit them. Now, but here's how you play him, though, okay? The final hit of Sandman's heavy attack special 1 or special 2 consumes up to 5 resistance up, and for each time the opponent is knocked down, since that unstable started, he deals an additional bit of burst damage on each on hit for each of Sandman's personal debuffs they're suffering. Lots of debuffs on this guy, okay? And that'll all come into play more when we get to the special attacks and stuff. So Quicksand, heavy attack while unstable. Y'all know me, I love root. If a champion has root, I'm on board. If Sandman is struck by a basic attack while he charges his heavy attack, he ignores the hit and becomes passively indestructible. Really cool mechanic. But what's really cool, striking the opponent with the first hit of his heavy attack passively roots them for 2.25 seconds, and if the opponent has the standard ground mastery, it's removed while they're rooted. So that's great. That should be a thing for like Titania as well. Striking the root of the opponent with a heavy attack locks Sandman in place until it expires or until he dodges back. Cool. So, special 1. On activation, he gains 1 resistance up and then 1 more in each hit. There are 5 hits, I believe. Or 4 hits. You get 5 total. And on activation, he inflicts 2 petrified debuffs of 8% potency, and then each hit inflicts 2 additional petrified debuffs. So that means, in total, math that I should have done before I started recording. Okay, we start with 16. And you get a total of 80% of a petrify there. And those can really stack up. So if you stack up those special ones, they're paused during your special attacks, their special attacks. There's a lot of heal reversal, power reversal capabilities with this guy. You spam special 1, okay? Now the special 2, you gain more resistance up. There are like 10 hits, I believe, on this, or 9 hits, something like that. And on activation, he inflicts 6 decelerate debuffs of 7% potency. So 7 times 6. 7 times 6 is going to be 42% decelerate. Now, decelerate is great because it's a flat reduction. So that means that all of those like Spider-Verse champions who have like a 30% chance to evade or whatever, you use the special 2 on activation, done. That's shut down. On top of that, you gain an additional 3 decelerates on every hit, and there were like 9 hits. So an additional 7 times 3 times 9. An additional like 180, a little bit more than that, percent potency on decelerate. He does a really solid job of shutting down the evasion and the unstoppable. The only caveat is you have to get to the special 2 first, okay? So it's going to be harder against like stun immune champions and all that stuff because like, you have to stun them so they don't evade. But if you can get to a special 2, which isn't too hard to do in most scenarios, you can kind of forget about the evasion from then on out, which is nice. The special 3, this is where a lot of damage comes from. You inflict 30 physical vulnerability debuffs, but if you're unstable, you're going to inflict 50? Yes, you're going to inflict 50 of them, okay? So that is him. That is how he works. It's going to be a lot easier when you see it in practice, okay? So let's start jumping right in. So lots of ways to play this guy. There is no right way. It's going to depend on the situation in front of you, okay? So this, for example, is going to be like a little special 1, special 2 type of thing, all right? As you can see, I'm building up my resistance up. Now, I like to get them to a special 2 and bait that guy out, okay? So check it out. Bam! Now we're going to go and use my special 1. I'm going to activate Unstable. Bam! And now I'm going to knock him down. Bam! Heavy attack. Bam! Indestructible. And I'm going to chain my heavy attack a few more times, all right? Not too bad. So from here, what you can do is you can go for a special 1 again, build up some more resistance up, or you could even go for like a special 2 kind of thing and go right back into resistance up. Check it out. Ready? And into unstable once more. The suppressions are doing the God's work right there. And look at all of that burst damage with the heavy proficiency as well. And he's done. We're going to finish it off with the special 1, put more debuffs on, and boom. Yeah, so he definitely has some darn solid damage there, and you can repeat that over and over and over and over. Now, the real damage comes from the special 3, and I'll show you that in a bit, but the damage is definitely fine in the shorter matchups as well here if you're just going for the special 1, the special 2 spam. One thing about him, if you do want to use him for like battlegrounds type fights, his special attacks are rather long. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Even his special 3 is rather long. So, when it comes to like time, he's very effective to use. But if you're up against like a nuke on the other side, if your opponent's using a nuke character, Human Torch, Archangel, etc., right, he's going to be taking longer than them. But this is another rotation right here. Right, by the way, we can just go for special 1s repeatedly, heavy attacks, right? And as you can see, it's doing some pretty good stuff, right? So this is just spamming special 1 here, essentially what we're doing, okay? So, yeah. But as you can see, pretty effective, right? Keeps the fight under control, keeps the debuffs on. I actually think this guy is going to be pretty darn useful for Alliance War as opposed to Battlegrounds. I think he's going to be solid in Battlegrounds. He kind of reminds me of Titania a little bit because he's very effective when you go for the special 3 rotation here. What I like to do is I like to do heavy attacks building up so that we don't enter unstable until we get to our special 3. Okay, so here we go. As you can see, we've done 5 heavy attacks on the way up. We're going to bait out a special attack first. We have triggered unstable. I like to parry, go for the special 3. All right, cool special 3 animation, super duper freaking cool, right? And what we're going to do here is we're going to right away heavy attack, and look, 50 physical vulnerabilities, and these things are going to start really bursting very, very highly. And this is a lot of damage, right? That's a lot of damage at that point. This guy has like 200,000 health, so especially if you're up against like a Mystic champion, like you're going to be doing some decent damage. Now, his heal reversal is very, very good. It's very, very good. This is Abyss Old Man Logan here, right? This is Abyss Old Man Logan. And as you can see, as we progress through the fight, the special 1 spamming is very, very easy. You could do it while they're in the root, heavy attacking to special 1. You could like build just under 2 bars of power, special 1, right? The fact that it's paused during the opponent's special attacks is nice. So against champions with longer specials does not matter, right? Your debuffs are not going to fall off. And as you can see, when there is aggressive regeneration, right, it's definitely going to be really solid for reversing that, especially when you run Despair as well, right? And here we go. Heavy attack, come on, there we go, bam. As you can see, we're still at a solid 100% health against this guy, which is darn solid. Lots of red numbers, right? We're going to finish off with the special 1, and the Petrifies pretty much stay up as long as you stay aggressive, and it's pretty darn easy to stay aggressive with him as well. So that was Abyss Old Man Logan, right? Let's check out his damage against like another champion in there. So we got Dormammu here, all right? We got Abyss Dormammu. And as you can see, what we did here, we went special 3, special 3, special 3. So after 3 special 3s, you're stacking up to like 99 physical vulnerabilities. And as you can see, it's decent damage, right? You're hitting like the damage cap there. So I don't even know what that last one would have been because you're hitting 85k, right? And at this point now, you can keep chaining your special 3s, or you can even do something like this where you bait out a special attack, if they ever throw their special attacks, right? And then you can go in for a special 2, right? And now they're in, you're in unstable, all this fun stuff, and you have all these debuffs. And keep in mind, right? Keep in mind, his burst is based on the amount of His burst is based on the amount of debuffs on the defender, right? So you have your physical vulnerability, which is great. Unfortunately, we didn't get all of them there, but that's fine. It was a little bit of a jumbled unstable cycle there, but it's based on the amount of debuffs on the defender. So you have your physical vulnerability there, which is great, reducing their physical resistance, and you're stacking on all of those debuffs. And at this point, right, it's falling off a bit, but keep in mind, we place what, 50, right? We place 50 of them on the special 3. So here we're going to go for the special 3 once more, stack it back up to 99. We still have some decelerates. We have the suppression from just entering into the unstable, and as you can see, we are doing some beefy red damage. So this one, that must have been like probably like 110, 120k on the final burst. Again, you know, the damage cap is 85k, so who knows? But as you can see, this is 3.3 million health, and we're doing a pretty darn solid job at getting this guy down. This one's going to be rather satisfying right here, right? Going to go for the special 2. The decelerate's also going to counter the Abyss Evade, which is great. Bam, a nice solid burst there. Indestructible here. Yeah, just solid stuff. 85k right there. That would have been this last burst. It's got to be like 120, 130, 140k, and that's pretty consistent once you're built up, which is darn nice there. You know, he's dead. Get out of here. He's dead. So when it comes to countering the Mystic Glass, right, he has some pretty darn solid enough utility for doing that. He has a very easy to access Petrify on the special 1, which is good against Doctor Doom, right? Never going to enter that Aura of Hazaroth. Also, he's immune to shock, which is nice, you know? Now, the Petrify, you know, reduces the ability power rate as well by 80% on the first special 1. So stuff like, you know, Mystic Dispersion, he's probably going to counter kind of nicely as well. You know, not as solid as like a Withered debuff or anything. That's just consistently there, and you have to just stay more aggressively, but not too bad there. But when it comes to like the Mystic Defenders, or any defenders really that regenerate very highly, for example, Absorbing Man, he's going to be doing a very solid job at reversing that regen. So that's one thing that makes Mr. Negative very good against Absorbing Man. And I do get some Mr. Negative vibes from Sandman with the whole like heavy charge kind of thing, because I feel like I like to bait out dashes like I do with Mr. Negative against this guy, right? But as you can see, Absorbent Man is going to be switching these forms all the time, and we're just reversing that healing, and the higher we stack those special ones, the more that's going to happen. And of course, Absorbent Man loves to regen, right? But again, like I said, not just regen, also ability power rate. And I mean, we could skip to it, right? As you can see, the ability power rate is definitely reduced from where it was, and that stacks on higher and higher and higher and higher. Lots of Mystic champions like that. And then we have, of course, the special to evade. So you can see it in action, right? We're going to ramp Spider-Gwen all the way up to 5, and then we're going to throw the special 2 while she's not stunned, okay? So check it out, because right away, before we go to hit her first, we put on the 60 Accelerate debuffs, which is really, really nice because it stops that evade. It cuts it off at the source, which is definitely really, really nice. All right, and then, it cuts it off at the source. On activation, he inflicts 60 Accelerates of 7% potency, and then 3 more on each hit. So, yeah, pretty darn solid right there, man. Pretty darn solid. So, that is Sandman. Really cool animations. Very fun to play. He does some solid stuff. The damage after Special 3 is pretty darn nutty, and it's pretty darn decent-ish, right? Unlike just going for Special 1, Special 2. Yeah, I think he'll be solid in War. I think he'll be solid in, like, questing stuff. Surprisingly, he's not a good defender, in my opinion. Like, he's a really bad defender, in my opinion. He's a bit of a pushover. His Special 1 is super duper easy to dodge. The same con that's on offense could make him a decent enough defender. The fact that his specials do take so long could make the fight last longer in defense, to extend that timer. So just an interesting bit of a thought there. Who knows? But yeah, only time will tell how effective he'll be in Battlegrounds. I think he'll be fine. I think going for Special 3 is probably the move, kind of like Titania in a way. But who knows, man? He's obviously going to be good against those Mystic champions with the regeneration and stuff. So I think he'll definitely have a place. But when it comes to the champions this month, Shocker goes in and like does a heavy attack and then they die. So he's obviously made for Battlegrounds. Sandman, not as much. I don't believe he's made more so for questing, but I do think he's going to be really solid for Alliance War, actually. So, but who knows? Who knows, man? Only time will tell. But that's it. That's Sandman. That's what he does. How to use him, and that's it. He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. All right, cool animations. I'll see you in your round.